I have 3 words. That was fantastic. What great energy. What great energy. I'm blessed. As we begin our talk this morning, we are going to receive a message from one of our junior members. So, Mary, would you please come up here?
Hi, I'm Marion. I'm a junior member of CSL Parker. I'm here today to thank you for your generous donation to my 6th grade project, in which me, my partner Michelle, my big sister Rachel, and my sister Veronica, and my dad created 25 care packages and handed them out to the homeless in downtown Denver. Your Benevolence Committee graciously donated $375 toward this effort. We had 3 different kinds of care packages. We had some for adults, some for children, and 3 for dogs. The care packages contained hygiene products, a toothbrush and toothpaste, socks and underwear, items to draw and write, sandwiches, fruit, water, and a Science Find magazine. We chose dog food and a tennis ball for the dog bags, but we skipped the magazine because, as we all know, dogs can't read. When we approached our first group, most of us were initially kind of scared and we didn't know what to expect. We were quickly overwhelmed by a large group of people who wanted some of what we had to give out. I have to admit that I was surprised at how quickly we ran out of bags, and even a little upset that it happened that way. Their need was greater than I imagined, and it seemed that although we had done some good, we hardly made a dent in the problem. I personally found that sometimes things are what they seem to be. There was absolutely no reason to be afraid, and everybody we talked to was very grateful and most were kind. I had hoped to get some pictures, but I found out that most people didn't want their picture taken. Looking back, I think maybe they were embarrassed by their circumstances. Our group learned a lot from this experience and know that it will benefit us in future efforts of this kind. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was great. I'd invite all of you to notice what it is that just happened there. Gratitude was shared. That is the great multiplier. Gratitude being shared, multiplied. How do you all feel right now? You all feel pretty grateful, don't you? We'll circle back to that demonstration a little bit later, and kind of bring that in to tie the entire talk together. Our topic this morning, for the month, has been prosperity and abundance, and of course, what I'm going to talk about today is the great multiplier, which is gratitude. We have this special power, you see. I mean, there's an awful lot of superhero movies out today, isn't there? Anybody seen, Ant-Man? What's Ant-Man's deal? He's able to grow from being incredibly small to incredibly large. Now, how is it that he does this? He does this through, a special series of gadgets that he has. While we may not have gadgets, we have something at our disposal. You have something at your disposal, which could be likened really to a superpower of sorts. And I might call that perception. We have the ability to choose how it is that we view conditions and circumstances in our lives. I'm going to bend down and pick up something from this bag here. Has anybody ever seen anything like this? Do you know what this is? This is a wonderful mug. I got this for my wife. And as I sat there and watched it, watched the what it said on the side, and watched her expression as I gave it to her. I knew that it was the correct gift. This side reads as half full, correct? When I open the mug up like this and you're tipping it up to drink, what do you see? You see the crown of the mug. So the mug is definitely half full. On this side, it says half freaking empty. What do I see? So you see, that's our superpower. Our superpower is that we have the opportunity to create that which we have the opportunity to choose how we view any given situation. It brings to mind a quote that came from potentially one of the smartest men I've ever met, Roger Stingley. Okay, member of this congregation, had been for quite some time. And he shared this in context of we were at a meeting one time and I heard this. He said, that which I fail to appreciate tends to disappear. And I sat there, I thought, my gosh, that is perhaps the most profound thing I think I've ever heard in my life. Because the opposite is true as well. What it is that I focus on is what grows and manifests in my experience, in all of our experiences. We each have that superpower. In some respects, we're kind of like Ant-Man, really. We can see things real small, we can be real small and play real small, or we can be big and play really big. There's a parable that Jesus shared in the Bible that has a little bit to do with this idea of how the law of attraction works with the power of gratitude and the power of recognition. This is the parable of the talents, and this is kind of at the end of and I need to probably give a little bit of context of what a talent actually is. A talent is a unit of money. And the way that the story goes, the parable goes, is that there's a master who has 3 servants. And he is preparing to go on a long, long journey. And as a result of the journey that he's going on, he's going to leave and entrust each one of his servants with a specific amount of money, which is called a talent, it was actually measured by weight at that time. So they were going to be left this according to their ability, according to their consciousness. So one of them was left 10 talents, another one was left 5, and one was left 1 talent. So the master goes out of town and the master comes back, and what has happened is that the person who has been the good steward, the one who had 10 talents, has seeded. And what I mean by seeded is he took that money and he got out into the community and he loaned the money out. He found worthy causes and he gave this stuff out to people that he felt like it was a good thing. Knowing that he was going to get some interest in return, what happened? Well, he made 10 more talents. He doubled his money. He doubled the money. The second person did the same thing. They had a little bit less to begin with, but they were able to double the money. And this is all based on their consciousness. The last person, who had the 1 talent, said, I must not have enough. I need to take care of this. And he went out and buried it in the backyard like a dog would bury a bone. Didn't get it out into the world. Didn't see it as the form of energy that it was. And what ended up happening was the master came back and the master was a little bit displeased. The master said, you really just didn't get it. You didn't get what the whole goal of this was. It's about being a steward, right? And it's about having that consciousness of abundance. So the end of Matthew says this. This is Matthew 25, verse 44 through 46. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken away from them. So what we choose to focus on brings more good to us. And based upon the idea that if we are willing to share, that actually enacts the law. We've got a Prosperity Plus class going on right now. And would the members of the Prosperity Plus class, would you guys please stand up right now if you're in the class? I'd like you guys to recognize them because they have taken They took an oath at the beginning of this class to participate in an experiment in which they agreed that they were going to tithe 10% of their funds, their time, and their talent. And so, these guys took a pledge to do something that was perhaps not the most comfortable thing in the world for them, and I want them to be recognized for that. Mary Morrissey is the teacher of the Prosperity Plus class. It's all done via DVD. And she's done some pretty fantastic presentations on here. And one of the things that she introduces in there, she introduces a gentleman named Wallace Wattles, who was a New Thought proponent in the early 20th century. And he wrote a book called, it was in 1910, he wrote a book called The Science of Getting Rich. Getting Rich. And this is really my first exposure to this book. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty fantastic. This guy, and rich meaning, it is about money, but it's also about a lot of other things as well that we would tend to lump in with abundance and prosperity and those kinds of things, like having good solid relationships, having safety and security, and really having a general sense of well-being, your health, physical health, all of these things are forms of true prosperity and really are the idea of what it means to be rich. And money is included in that. There's a chapter that Wallace Wattles has in here that is on gratitude. And there's a quote from there I'd like to read, which is, "The grateful outreaching of your mind in thankful praise to the Supreme Intelligence is a liberation or expenditure of force. It cannot fail to reach that which is addressed, and the reaction is an instantaneous movement toward you." What does this mean? What this means to me when sitting in meditation, I hear that gratitude is my direct link to the divine. That's what I hear. I hear that the more that I am grateful, I actually enact the law. It is the catalyst that enacts the law. That's why Jesus, when Jesus prayed, how did he pray? He prayed with gratitude first. With gratitude first. And the reason I think that this is significant is that in my experimentation this week, what I kind of shifted up was I did things a little bit differently than what I normally do. I put gratitude first. I put gratitude first. And this is what I found. We use the process of spiritual mind treatment, right? Where we have 5 steps. What are the 5 steps? Recognition, same with me, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release, right? What I found out through putting Thanksgiving first in my prayer was that I was unmistakably in the now moment. There was no mistaking it. Because I can't be completely grateful for whatever it is that I'm experiencing. It pulls me right into the now moment. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. Time stops in this moment. And I know right then that the source of power belongs to me to use. It's unmistakable. It works 100% of the time. So while Ernest had Thanksgiving within the prayer treatment, I tried something a little bit different this week, and I found that it really worked for me. It was the great multiplier, or as I would like to say, maybe amplifier would be the better word to use. Because as we talk about evolution and everything spiraling upward, correct? That's a form of amplification, is what it really is. So there's a practice of gratitude. How many of you here make gratitude lists on a regular basis? Then you can attest to the power of what it is that I'm talking about here. I once, I resisted this as a practice of, an everyday deal of writing down, until I felt satisfied, but it may be, 5 to 10 things that I was grateful for. I resisted this practice for a long time. And I became sold on its benefit when I had a situation where I was all tore up. Life was really, really getting to me. And I recall running into a gentleman, and he said, Phil, you need to go make yourself a gratitude list. That's exactly what you need to do. And I looked at him again, and I said, there's just no way that that's gonna help me. I'm looking at the flat side of the cup, right? There's no way that that is gonna make any kind of difference in my life. But I agreed, I was willing, because I was in a little bit of pain, right? I didn't like where I was at. And so what I did was I went up to my truck, and I picked up my pen and my paper, and I started writing. And here's what I found. I found that the things that I claimed were the most important thing in my life were at number 7 or 8 on the list. So in a pinch, a gratitude list can be really kind of a statement of where your values are at for any given moment or any given day. But that opened up my eyes. That opened up my eyes. And so I began to participate right then in perhaps the greatest Ponzi scheme ever. You ready for this? I got rich quick. And how did I get rich quick? I counted my blessings. That's what I did. I started over and I began to look at all the good things in my life and all the good that had been wrought by God working through me. And holy cow, I was amazed. And I was the richest man. I walked back into where I was at, completely changed by the power of gratitude. So if this isn't something that you have pursued on a daily or even every other day basis, I would highly recommend it as a practice. Because what it does is it enacts the law, as we just heard from Wallace Wattles. It enacts the law and pulls this power toward us. If you'd like to have more in your life, you have to be grateful for more. That's all there is to it. There is an evolution of gratitude lists, however. There was a point in time where I began to look at mine and to recognize that there was a little bit of selfishness going on here. I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for my wife, my kids. You see a pattern here? The pattern is that I'm not really fully engaged. And in some respects, this is not that this is a bad form of something to be grateful for. I'm not stating that it's certainly okay to be grateful for those things, and it is a necessary stepping stone. But I assure you, my friends, that's playing Ant-Man. It really is. Because there's a greater calling. There's a greater sense of gratitude to be had there. And it might look like, I see that I have all this met, and I am so grateful for the philosophy that I have been given that has helped me to get here, that I want to share this with everyone. We recently had the opportunity via Mary's Project to go to downtown Denver. And I have to be completely honest with you, I think I was about just as scared as the kids were. I felt a little embarrassed. I felt a little bit as though this shouldn't bother me. I mean, I'm a minister. What was the problem that I was dealing with as we got off on Park Avenue down there, right? We got off on Park Avenue, and what's the first thing you see on Park Avenue when you get there and you're headed towards downtown? You see the Pepsi Center. You see Coors Field. You see all these huge bastions of wealth. And you come around the corner, and you're in downtown Denver. And there's people there who are in a state of poverty. It was shocking, right? And I drive past this all the time, and I don't even know that I ever noticed it, at least with the eyes that I have today. So we got out there and we started handing these packages out, and I had the good fortune to speak to a couple of people. And here's what happened. I identified with their condition. That's what happened. I was not mentally prepared enough to deal with what it was that was right in front of me. I began to sympathize with them, for it to be a situation where, well, obviously these people are trapped. Obviously they are a victim of the system, and there is absolutely nothing that can be done about this. Is that true? I was a victim of my own thinking in that capacity. And I am incredibly grateful that I actually was able to get in there and to do this, because as I left, I really got that crisis of faith, right? Do I really believe that a science of mind can help these people? Have I been given a gift that is worth sharing with them? Why did I not have a 2 to 5 minute pocket speech so that I could capitalize on the sense of gratitude that came when we handed them that bag? So I learned something that was incredibly, incredibly powerful for me that day. We have at our disposal, folks, a philosophy that changes people's lives. How many of you here believe that as a result of being in with Science of Mind that your life is better? Wow, that's a staggering amount of people in this room. That's the majority of the room. Is there perhaps a higher calling than just being grateful for our own good to get out there and share good with other people? That's what we do when we give 10%. You know, our 10% funds projects like what we just did right there. You know, we give back to the community at large. And I'm getting a sense that, at least for me, there's more to be had. There's more to be had. I walked away from that recognizing that when I go back armed with the knowledge that this fits in with our overall CSL vision of a world that works for everyone. If we would like the world to work for everyone, we must be able to share with them how the world works. And there is not a more powerful message than, as Ernest Holmes would say, there's a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. You are not the victim of the world you see. The world is being done by you, not to you. I ask you, my friends, is there anything more powerful? Is there anything more powerful? I don't know what it is. One Science of Mind member, one Science of Mind person affects dramatically 26 people. And I gotta tell you, I think that number is a little bit low. I think that if we were to aim our sights a little bit higher, in that every single person that we have over the course of the day, we're going to meet them with that spirit of love and gratitude and have that kind of an impact, because we carry a message that changes people's lives. So that is gratitude in action. I'd like to end with a couple of quotes here. This quote is from Robert Emmons, who is a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley. I got this off of a website called The Greater Good. It's pretty cool. He's speaking about gratitude. I see it as a relationship strengthening emotion because it requires us to see how we have been supported and affirmed by other people. Gratitude not only encourages us to appreciate gifts, but to repay them or pay them forward. Let's have a prayer. I affirm the truth today that God is all there is. One being, one life. One being and one life. Many forms. Everything that I can see, touch, taste, feel, and all that is just one gigantic being. There's no sense of separation. Everything that I see is merely God. All of it is God. Even when I see someone suffering, I recognize that to be God. And there is a call. There's a call that goes along with that. In recognizing that the law has shown me the way of how it is that I can be taken care of. I've been given the key to life, the key to a successful life. And I have every desire within me to share that. And to share that as well as we can. I know that every person within this room is empowered by a philosophy that drives, that really is something that is incredibly vital and life-giving. We are all healers, every single one of us. We have that capability and we have that responsibility. And I declare that it is ours today. It is ours and it is easy to accept. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to be here today. I'm incredibly grateful for everyone who is here today. And I'm incredibly grateful that the law works without fail. And I release this treatment. Please join me in saying, and so it is.